Welcome to My City Videos Live. My name is Jeff Silverman, and today we're continuing our discussion on innovation as it relates to our community, the business world, and also we're plugging an event called Willamette Innovators Night, which is happening every November and brings together local innovators, startups. So we're going to continue our discussion today. I have with me my first guest, Scott Sadler. Good to see you, Scott.
Good to see you too, Jeff.
And Scott, tell us a little bit about your business, introduce yourself, and what Sadler Business Coaching does.
Well, I'm a 23-year entrepreneur, and I currently own Sadler Business Coaching, and I work with a lot of business owners in helping them find balance between their work life and their personal life, and making sure that their business is actually serving some greater good in their life besides just being in the business all the time. And there's a big need out there for entrepreneurs to find that balance, especially in this economy.
Gotcha. How do people and entrepreneurs stay innovative? You introduce a product maybe 5 years ago, and it's old to them, and maybe new to the public, but how do they keep on growing and staying sharp?
Well, I think entrepreneurs are the epitome of being an innovator, because a good entrepreneur is constantly reinventing themselves for the public or for the market, or being redefined by the market. An example is I have a client who had a restaurant. When the economy turned, it started to struggle, and she realized that there were 3 items on her menu that people really, really loved, and she wondered if she couldn't go into mass producing those products. Turns out she could, she did. She just recently was accepted into Whole Foods, for example, and she's shed the restaurant side of things, but reinvented herself and has a great product that's getting rave reviews on the market now. So that's a great example of an entrepreneur reinventing themselves and being innovative.
Where do you see the most struggles with entrepreneurs? Where do they struggle the most? Is it time management? Is it introducing new product? Where do you see the most struggle, and how do you help?
There's a lot of different areas to talk about with that one question, but for my practice, the people that I tend to work with are people who are trying to define their vision for their life and how the business can serve that vision. And then we talk about things like time management, because I think that's key for most entrepreneurs to really hone in on, so that they can be effective when they're on the job, and so they can be effective when they're off the job with whatever that role is at the time. So if you're on the job, you want to be focused on what you're doing, and when you're off the job, you want to be focused on not being worried about what should I be doing now for my business, and separating those is critical to being creative when you need to be, rather than being burnt out.
Well, how do you do that, though? A lot of startup entrepreneurs, they say you're doing your job 24 hours a day, and before you get into this, you want to know that being an entrepreneur is not a 9-to-5 job. So
Absolutely.
How do you balance, and what do you recommend for your clients in balancing life?
For veterans, they understand that at some point they can't be going 24/7. For startups, it's important in our initial conversations to discuss what entrepreneurial characteristics are, and that you will be working a lot of hours. Do you have an exit strategy that says, I'm going to cut my hours back? Do you have a plan that will help you get to a point where you can back off? If you have a target, it's a lot easier to work a lot in the beginning. But if you don't have a target, it becomes a habit that you just work hard all the time, 24/7, and you don't have a cutoff. That becomes your lifestyle, and that's not much of a life.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned when we spoke before about personal life, and that having goals in your personal life that affect your business life is important. Maybe can you talk a little bit about, recharging your personal life? And I know you're a big outdoors person. You like to get outdoors to do that. Share some ideas for entrepreneurs to rejuvenate and get innovative.
Well, Stephen Covey calls it sharpening the saw. And I think that entrepreneurs especially are the type that when they get an idea in their head, they need to just work it, and they put themselves on the back burner, meaning their personal lives. And it's important to get away from the business so that you can, when you come back to the business, you can have more creativity for the business. Because if we're too close to something all the time, we tend to lose our edge. So to sharpen the saw for me would be to go hiking in the woods, or go climb a mountain, or anything that doesn't have anything to do with business, just to be away from my environment for a while. If I'm near my cell phone or my email, I tend to get sucked back into working on the business when I really need to compartmentalize and keep that time separate for myself and my soul growth and my personal growth so that I can be better when I go back to work on my business growth. And I think that's imperative. And there's more and more of a shift. Entrepreneurs are figuring that out, where it's not just about chasing the dollar or building the business, but it's about having what I call holistic happiness in your life, where every one of your areas are balanced in your life: your soul growth, your personal growth, your emotional growth, and your business growth. And I think that's only achieved if you can get away from the business once in a while to recharge.
And Scott, who needs a coach in your opinion? I mean, you told me you have a coach. So
Absolutely.
tell us about why coaching is important and in your perspective.
I think that anybody who's striving to do something can benefit from using a coach. There's coaches in all different areas. I happen to focus in on business people that are looking for balance in their lives. But I think it's important that if people want to take it to the next level, they understand the beauty of coaching is that as a neutral third party, if I'll use my coach as an example, if I tell her I want to hit this goal and that goal, and then 3 weeks later I talk to her again and she says, how you doing on that? That's very important stuff, because I need somebody to hold me accountable as well, to myself. Because entrepreneurs tend to be very self-starting, I can handle it myself, and they get themselves into a silo where they don't have a place to bounce things off of other people. And if you're bouncing things off of your family or your friends who all care about you, they may not give you the exact answer you want, or they may give you the answer that you want, but the one that doesn't really help you take your game to the next level. And if you look at professional athletes, they have multiple coaches. The ones that are the best in their field have multiple coaches so they can be better. And I think that if they need coaches and they're already good, we as people can really benefit from a personal coach.
Awesome.
It's been great for me.
And I don't think we could talk about innovation without technology and how technology helps either organize our lives or bring a product to market a little easier. Can you talk a little bit about maybe you or your clients who are using technology and what they're doing with it?
Absolutely. I'm known as the systems guy because I really believe that everything in business should be systemized. If you start systemizing things and problems come up, it's a lot easier to deal with the problem rather than when a problem coming up and not dealing with it at all outside of a system. So the problems get less and less and less if you're working within a system. And it could be an HR system, it can be a time management system, it can be a product to market type system. And I think that technology today for the entrepreneur really gives us an upper hand compared to when I started back in 1989 in my first business, because I'm more efficient because of technology, and you can use it depending on your business model to be more effective day to day and not have to be in your business 24/7.
Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts you'd recommend for people wanting to start a business or make their business better?
Yeah, seek out a mentor, someone who's experienced in business, someone successful in business if you've never had a business, because those folks have been in the trenches and been through the ups and downs through a variety of different circumstances, both in the economy and in their own learning curve. You can learn a lot from somebody from what they've failed in and hopefully avoid those same failures. And then the second thing is to have a plan. It doesn't have to be an 80-page business plan, but you need to have some concept statement that really shows there's a need for your product and really shows you have the ability to bring it to market. Those two are the two most important things, I think, for people who've never been an entrepreneur who are thinking about it.
And Scott, you're no stranger to a failing business and successful business. So share a little bit of detail about when you had your business and some.
Well, my first business was a success. It was a commercial cleaning company, and we did very, very well and sold that company in 2003. Very large company, serviced Corvallis to Portland. And then I got into the restaurant business after that. And I have some background in the restaurant industry, and we ended up closing our restaurant in 2008. And it was an interesting experience. It's one that I wouldn't recommend for most people, but it was also my biggest learning experience. I am such a better entrepreneur from going through that experience. And now I'm able to help other businesses who are struggling in that same kind of vein because of the economy, help them redesign their business or move on to the next level, depending on what that is for them. So failure in business isn't always what it appears to be. It's usually got some really good stuff in it, and I'm grateful for the experience for my life.
Awesome. Scott, thanks for being with us.
Yeah.
If people want to get a hold of you, where can we find out more about your coaching business?
You can contact me at scottsadlercoach.com, and that's Sadler with one D.
All right. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks again for being here. My City Videos, if you don't know, is an online video magazine about Corvallis. Interesting people, culture, food, everything great about Corvallis and our region. Check us out at mycityvideos.com. And our next guest actually is on mycityvideos.com, and her name is Dava. Dava, good to see you.
Hi, Jeff. Nice to see you again.
And Dava's a local realtor. And Dava, share a little bit about yourself and your business.
Well, I'm a licensed real estate broker here in the state of Oregon. I'm affiliated with Coldwell Banker Valley Brokers in Corvallis, and I work the Mid-Willamette Valley, Albany, Corvallis, Philomath, Lebanon, and I have a pretty fun time at what I do.
And that's why I picked you to come on this show too, Dava, is because you do have fun and you are innovative. So you've been in the business a long time.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about your history in real estate and as you see the industry maybe changing.
Well, I was originally licensed in real estate when I was pretty young. I was 19. A fax machine in that day was a novel thing. So over the years, I did real estate and I did other things in the real estate industry, but watching the progression from barely having decent computers to being able to carry a huge computer around in my purse in the form of an iPhone is a pretty liberating sort of experience.
How do you separate yourself from other realtors without giving away lots of secrets, but how do you stay innovative and maybe serving your clients a little bit better?
Well, there's a lot of different ways. I think for a service industry, being innovative is being aware of what's happening and trying to stay ahead of the curve in terms of tools that we can use to better serve our customers or clients, and being aware of what the economic and social conditions in our community are. The ultimate goal of any innovator would be to make life better for someone somehow. So by achieving our clients' goals, inventing the next best widget, whatever it is, we want to make life better for people.
Mm-hmm. And Dava, anything that you're using technology-wise to help you or your clients? I mean, I know you're using video, but
Yep.
What other things are you using?
Well, video and the YouTube presence allows people to walk through clients' homes virtually, and QR codes for the smartphones to be able to jump to the information about the property, being aware of staging techniques, understanding the long-term goal of the client and meshing that with how we approach what we're going to do. It's not always, oh, sell the house, buy the house. Sometimes it's how you organize the investment quality of the property.
And even though buyers might be looking online, and that's where they first start the search for their new home, isn't it all about them stepping into that home and more of an emotional connection they make?
Well, I think you can look at pictures and read facts and understand a lot about a property, but until you actually try it on and see if it fits, like that comfortable sweater, or meets the needs in other ways that you just can't vision in a little screen, yeah, I think you need to step into a property, and it has to work in a lot of ways, not just the physical parts of it, but the location and all of those sorts of things.
Mm-hmm. And Dava, you're involved in our community. I know you love the arts in the area. Share a little bit about some things you love about Corvallis and the area.
Oh, Corvallis is an amazing place. It's such a mesh of artistic people, creative people, really smart people, people who can do the math and come up with ways to help the world or help individuals. We are also a pretty giving community. There's a lot of volunteerism here, and it has that nice rural small town feel without being uncreative. So I really like it. I mean, because of the dynamic and the energy that's associated with Corvallis.
Back to real estate, tell us a little bit of perspective of what buyers should be expecting in this market, and also sellers. I mean, with the economy a little bit soft, do people just need to be more patient in both processes, or is it, tell us about the perspective.
Well, with real estate, you need to be patient all the time. Certainly the lending environment has become somewhat more challenging. Loans are available. People can get loans. We hear a lot of noise, for lack of a better word, from the media about the lending environment. And there are some challenges. They're not just throwing money at people right now. Properties need to be in good condition. There's a lot of competition on the market with product. Houses are products when you're a buyer. So setting your property apart will help you sell it.
All right.
In a good way.
Anything else you'd recommend for people who, thinking maybe a year or two from now they're going to sell? Is it making the investment now into their home? Is it? Yeah.
I think that possibly it might be really beneficial to, if you're thinking long range, to maybe get some advice now, personal upfront advice from a trusted real estate broker. Maybe get more than one opinion about what you should do. Do your homework. You'll be well served if you do that.
And this community has lots of different living options, right? We have a high-rise building on the riverfront. We've got farmland. Give us a little perspective of so many different living options in Corvallis alone.
Well, Corvallis has a lot of different kinds of properties. You can live in the woods. You can live close to the center of town. You can find a historic home. There is the high-rise down by the waterfront. So, define how you want to live and what your options are. Do you want to be carless? Do you want space around you? The choices are really as open as you can get.
All right. Well, Dava, thanks a lot. How can people get a hold of you if they want to have your services?
Oh, you can find me on the web at soldbydava.com. Or you could Google my name because it's unique enough that you can pretty much find me that way.
All right. Thanks, Dava.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Jeff.
you being with us. All right. Well, moving right along, My City Videos Live. I do want to promote an upcoming event that happens every November. It's called Willamette Innovators Night. And usually the second Thursday of November, a bunch of innovators get together, creators, inventors, software designers get together at OSU for a day of learning and sharing their ideas. And you could just Google Willamette Innovators Network or Night, and you'll see more about it. And our next guest is Mike Miller. And Mike, good to have you here.
Thanks, Jeff.
And Mike is a local pastor in town. And I was excited to have Mike on the show because he brings a lot of innovation to a new church in town. So I wanted to, if you could just introduce yourself and your background too, Mike, I think people will be interested in hearing that.
Yeah, I moved to Corvallis about a year and a half ago with the purpose of learning the culture, learning the community, to be able to plant a church here. I've been in IT, specifically information security, for the past 17 years, and resigned from that in May of this year with the intent of planting a new church here in Corvallis. So,
tell us why Corvallis. I've asked you this. Why does Corvallis need another church? We've already got 30, 40, or how many do we have?
Yeah, I think there's 48 churches in Corvallis. I think that may seem to a lot to people in the Pacific Northwest. I don't think Corvallis needs more churches as people perceive churches. Some statistics: Benton County is the least churched county in the United States, which is surprising to some people. We hired a demographic researcher and learned that Corvallis specifically is one of the lowest church attending communities in the United States. So that's less than 8% of people are in church on any given Sunday. That was fascinating to me. And the other thing that was very fascinating to me is statistically, what we learned from this research is that 43% of the people in Corvallis, that if they had to identify their belief system with any one known belief system, what would they identify it with? And they chose conservative, evangelical, Christian, 43% of the people. Yet less than 8% are in church on any given Sunday. So that tells me that the perception of the people that aren't involved in church is that church is not relevant to their life. And that's really where my passion for innovation comes, is that I am passionate about finding ways to kind of open that up to people and showing them. I'm in love with what church can be. I think God has given us church as a gift, and the impact a church can have on a community is huge. So that's where my passion comes from.
So as the newest church in town, share some ways that you're using technology, innovation. I know you have a unique development program at Corvallis Church to disciple people.
Yeah, I've been in IT and technology for 17 years, so I love technology. I don't think we use technology for the sake of using technology, but we use it to help us further our mission. Corvallis is one thing I love about Corvallis. It's a very technology-friendly community. So when we think of ways to get our message out and become known to people, technology is just an easy way to do that. So I'm going to use business terms that a lot of people aren't familiar with churches, but I do marketing, I do branding, I do advertising. I've been doing that for 17 years, and I don't think I need to stop doing that now.
And you have a management team.
And I have a management team, yep. They serve as kind of my board. And
a lot of people would be like, well, he's a pastor, he has a management team, and not a... So explain that to people, what your philosophy on church and running it almost like a business, or...
I don't run it like a business. I think I come from business, so I have business experience and principles. I have a coach that I value tremendously when we talk every week, and just keeps me on task. But I think there's a lot I learned in business about how to run an organization that translates over to a church. But that's really just all that under the behind the scenes stuff that helps us do our mission here, which is to engage in this community, to be involved in city council, chamber of commerce, just being involved in what's going on, so we can serve, so we can live the life that Jesus taught us to live, and that's a life of selfless service. So we can do that, and the result of that is that we will grow. We'll grow up in our understanding of who we are. We'll grow up in our impact on the city, in our influence in culture, and closer together as a community.
And I think, like our last guest mentioned, people go online first, right, for information.
Yeah.
But the proof is in walking through that front door.
Yeah.
And the feeling or the emotion or the connection.
Yeah.
So tell us how you guys are trying to be authentic in that we have a big web presence, but when people walk through our door on Sunday morning, how do we connect with them?
It is all about just making people feel welcome. We meet in a school, so we rent a public place once a week, and so people come, and to a lot of people that's scary and intimidating, and we acknowledge that, and we thank them for being brave and trying something new, and we try to make them feel welcome and comfortable. We transform an auditorium into more of a, actually it's a cafeteria. We transform more into an auditorium with pipe and drape and speakers, and we set up an entire, what you would set up to do a concert, we set that up in that school every Sunday. But it is all about when people come in, we acknowledge that they're as nervous as we are, and let's just be real and call it what it is, and enjoy hanging out together.
Awesome. You guys have an interesting discipleship program at the church called an ISP. What is an ISP?
The ISP stands for Individual Spiritual Plan, and the idea is let's have some intentionality about our growth. I think a lot of people go to church once in a while, and they go and they enjoy the show, or they don't, or they enjoy the music, or they don't. But this is really more about let's have some intentionality and put together a plan that says we sit down with someone and we interview them and we get to know them and where their heart is, where they're coming from, what are their fears, what are their likes, what are their passions. And then we tailor a recommendation, basically. And here's a 12-month recommendation to you. Here's a couple books you may want to read. The thing that I get really excited about is here's a couple books you may want to read, some scripture you may want to focus on, but more importantly, here are some service organizations in town that could use your gifts and your talents, where you can influence and impact your community around you and just activating and engaging people in their own spiritual journey, which we believe a huge component of that is serving others.
How do people stay innovative in their spiritual life? I mean, we always want to, if we have these dimensions in our life, personal, business, spiritual, how do we stay, connected or growing spiritually?
I was thinking about that word innovative a lot. That word, I think, is something that somebody on the outside needs to ascribe to you as you're being authentically you, right? I think that's the healthy way to use that word, innovative. If we, as a church, I'm talking as a church, if we sought out as a church to be innovative, I think we'd be totally missing the point of what we're here to do. We're just trying to be ourselves and be authentic and be real. And if the way we do that is perceived as innovative, that's great. I think individuals need to own their faith. And as individuals are owning their faith, that authenticity will come out, and if that's innovative, it is. And I think there's a lot of people, as they're doing down their spiritual journey, they're not going to do anything innovative, but they're going to have a deep, rich spiritual life. But I think just constantly coming back to that authenticity and honesty in your faith and your spiritual journey, that let's not pretend we have all the answers. Let's just be authentic and real and go on a journey together.
Awesome. And Mike, thanks for being with us. If someone wanted to get a hold of you guys online and find out a little bit more about the church, where would they go?
There's a lot of ways. CorvallisChurch.com is our website. We have a Facebook page. You can type in the Corvallis Project. And then, we have QR codes on our website. We embrace all that stuff. So,
all right. Thanks for being with us.
All
I really
right.
appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you all for being with us too on My City Videos, the live edition. My name is Jeff Silverman, signing off till next time. Thank you.